If you are considering moving into a nursing home or have a parent or loved one who is, stop and listen to this story. Because once the nursing home door closes behind you, life will never be the same again. I don't say this to scare you, but to prepare you, to make you understand what's really going on. If you find this information useful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any videos that help you live healthier, safer, and happier every day. Many people believe that nursing homes are a safe, comfortable option. They think they are a place of full care where all their needs are met: hot meals, timely medication, caring staff who are always there to help. On paper, that sounds perfect. But what if I told you that for many people, nursing homes are not a relief, but a place where they lose themselves? I want to tell you the story of a man. He is 82 years old, and he used to be a strong, independent person. All his life, he had cared for himself, made his own decisions. But then, as age took its toll and his family began to worry, they convinced him that a nursing home was the best option. "You'll be well taken care of," they said. "You'll have doctors to monitor your health, friends to talk to, staff to help you whenever you need them." He believed them. He believed that this would be a new chapter, a place where he could enjoy his final years in safety and comfort. But when the doors of the nursing home closed, reality set in. He no longer had the freedom to make his own decisions about his life. Everything was on a fixed schedule. He couldn't eat when he wanted, couldn't go for walks when he wanted. Even sleeping late or reading became a luxury. The initial family visits became less frequent, and holidays were no longer as crowded as before. Gradually, he realized that the outside world was moving forward, but he was being left behind. This story is not uncommon. In fact, millions of older Americans are going through the same thing, and many of them wish they had thought harder before making this decision. Nursing homes are not the perfect solution for everyone. They may be the right place for those who need special medical care, but for many, they are places where they lose their freedom, their purpose, and sometimes their connection to their loved ones. I'm not here to tell you that nursing homes are bad, but I want you to think hard before making a decision that could completely change your life or the lives of your loved ones. In this video, I'll share with you 6 things I wish I knew before moving into a nursing home. These lessons come not only from personal experience, but also from hundreds of real-life stories from seniors who have lived through it. So, stay tuned until the end. Some of the facts may surprise you. Some may change the way you view nursing homes forever. And if you know someone who is considering this option, this video may be just what they need to hear before making a decision of no return. Now, let's get started. Do you remember the last time your family got together for the holidays? The laughter in the house, the chatter in the living room, and the warm feeling of knowing you belonged somewhere. But imagine, one day, you're sitting alone in an unfamiliar room, listening to the ticking of the clock, waiting for the door to open, but it never does. This is the reality for many seniors in nursing homes. No one told them that loneliness could be the worst thing. They came in believing that they would be taken care of, that their families would visit regularly. But then, busy lives washed away the promises. The calls became less frequent, the visits became rare, and then one day, they realized that they had been left behind. I want to tell you the story of Richard, 85. He was a devoted father, a doting grandfather. Before he entered the nursing home, his family promised that they would visit him every week. At first they did. His daughter came by on Saturdays, his grandchildren came by on weekends. But then the schedule changed. Work got busy, school got busy, life went on as usual. Only his life stood still. Promises of, "I'll come by next week," turned into belated apologies, and finally, silence. Loneliness is more than just a feeling. It's devastating. According to a study by the University of California, more than 60% of nursing home residents in the U.S. do not receive regular visitors. Another report from the CDC found that loneliness can increase the risk of depression, dementia, and even shorten life. That means that for many people, loneliness is more than just a sadness. It can kill them slowly. But perhaps the worst thing is not being forgotten, but gradually accepting it. You start to talk less because there is no one to listen. You stop looking forward to visits because each time you look forward to them, it is a disappointment. You learn to look out the window, not to admire the scenery, but to remind yourself that the world outside is still going on. It is just that you are no longer in it. One evening, I remember an elderly woman sitting quietly in the family room, her eyes fixed on the door. I asked her who she was waiting for, and she smiled sadly. "No one, but I like to see if anyone comes." It was the most heartbreaking answer I have ever heard. So, if you or someone in your family is considering a nursing home, ask yourself, is there a real commitment to regular visits, or is it just an empty promise? If you are a social butterfly, can you find real friends in this environment? Is there a way to maintain interaction without depending on other people's schedules? The truth is, people need more than just physical care. They need to be loved, to be remembered, to feel important. Without that, life, no matter how comfortable, becomes meaningless. Nursing homes can provide beds, meals, and medical care, but what they can't guarantee is the love of family. And if you trade that for something, is it worth it? Think about your typical day. Maybe you wake up early in the morning, make a cup of coffee your way. Maybe you spend time tending to your small garden, giving water to the potted plants on the porch. Maybe you call an old friend, catch up on the news, or simply enjoy the peace of putting things in order yourself. These little things may not seem so important when you're busy with work and family life, but as you age, they become the things that give meaning to each day. They're the reason you get up in the morning, the motivation that makes you feel like you're still valuable, that you're still contributing something to the world. And then you enter a nursing home. Everything is done for you. You don't have to cook, meals are served on the hour. You don't have to clean, the staff takes care of everything. You don't have to worry about anything. But that's the problem. When there's nothing left to do, you don't feel important. I remember the story of Walter, an 84-year-old man who used to be a carpenter. All his life, he loved making things with his hands, a chair, a bookshelf, a small gift for his grandson. He used to say, "As long as I can make something, I am still me." But when he entered the nursing home, all his tools were taken away. There was no small workshop, no unfinished projects, no one to ask for advice on a new design. In the first months, he tried to stay positive, but as time went on, with nothing to do, no reason to be busy, he gradually changed. His once strong hands now rested in his lap. His once bright eyes now looked out the window. When I asked him how he felt, he just shook his head and said, "I don't feel useful anymore." This is not Walter's story alone. According to a study by the National Institute on Aging, more than 50% of nursing home residents experience a loss of purpose. When everything is taken care of by others, when there are no responsibilities, life becomes a series of waiting. Waiting for meals, waiting for bedtime, waiting for someone to remember you. You may be thinking, but don't nursing homes have activities for seniors? Yes, many nursing homes have activities like bingo, book clubs, or music nights. But what most people don't realize is that participating in a passive activity is not the same as having a real purpose. Meaning in life doesn't come from filling time. It comes from feeling like you still have a contribution, a role, a reason to keep going. If you're considering a nursing home for yourself or a loved one, ask yourself, what gives meaning to my life? Could it continue in a nursing home? Can you maintain your habits and interests in a confined space? Are you willing to trade the feeling of being useful for convenience? A nursing home can make sure you have a place to live, but it can't make sure you feel alive. And if there's nothing to look forward to, nothing to create, nothing to contribute, is that still a life worth living? Think back to a time when you were still independent. Maybe you woke up every morning, stretched, and stepped out onto the porch to enjoy the fresh air. Maybe you made your own breakfast, poured yourself a cup of hot coffee, took a walk around the neighborhood, or simply opened the window to let in the morning sun. These little things may seem insignificant, but they keep your body moving, your legs steady, your hands flexible, and your heart beating strongly. But when you enter a nursing home, everything changes. At first, it seems like a relief. You don't have to cook, the food is brought to your table. You don't have to clean up, The staff will do it. You don't have to worry about the daily chores. Just sit back and everything will be taken care of. But this convenience is a double-edged sword. The less you move, the more you lose your ability. The less you do for yourself, the faster your body deteriorates. If you don't walk for a day, your legs start to weaken. If you don't stand for a week, your muscles start to atrophy. And then, before you know it, getting out of a chair becomes a challenge. I'm reminded of the story of Linda, 81, who was very active before moving into a nursing home. She had a habit of walking every morning, doing light exercises, and cooking every day. When her son convinced her to move into a nursing home, she thought it would be a chance to relax and enjoy the attentive care. But after only 6 months, she realized that she was no longer the same. At first, I just sat a little more, she said. Then I found myself not wanting to walk every morning anymore. Meals were delivered, so I didn't have to move. One day, I got up from my chair and realized my legs were shaking. I didn't understand what was happening, but then I realized I had lost the most precious thing, my independence. This wasn't just happening to Linda. According to a CDC study, seniors in nursing homes are 25% more likely to lose muscle mass than those who maintain an active lifestyle at home. The human body is designed to move. When you stop using it, it weakens. And when it weakens, it's not easy to regain strength. A man once told me, "I entered the nursing home on my feet, but now I'm not sure if I can walk out of here." We often think that nursing homes will help seniors stay healthy because there are caregivers and doctors watching over them. But the truth is, there's a huge difference between being cared for and being healthy. Once you stop using your body, it starts to deteriorate faster than ever. So, if you or a loved one is considering a nursing home, ask yourself, can you maintain your exercise routine when everything is catered to you? Are you determined enough to continue exercising when there's no one to remind you? Are you willing to trade your independence for convenience? A nursing home may help you live longer, but the more important question is, are you actually living healthier and happier? Close your eyes and think back to a private moment. Maybe it was a peaceful morning when you slowly prepared your coffee the way you liked it. Maybe it was a soak in the tub, enjoying absolute relaxation without anyone bothering you. Maybe it's a moment when you're sitting quietly in your room, reading a book, reminiscing about old memories that no one can intrude on. Now imagine that you no longer have control over those moments. You're in a room where staff can come and go at any time. The door is rarely knocked on before it's opened. You want to shower but can't decide when. You have to wait your turn, wait for someone to have time to help you. You want a moment of privacy to think, to breathe. But there's always someone checking to see if you're okay. And that is what life in a nursing home is all about. Privacy, one of the most basic things that maintain human dignity, is gradually stripped away. I am reminded of the story of Eleanor, an 86-year-old woman who used to be very independent. When she lived in her own apartment, she had a clear schedule. Every morning she prepared her own meals, enjoyed a cup of tea in peace. But when she moved into a nursing home, everything changed. She could no longer choose her breakfast time. One day she was sleeping when the staff opened the door without knocking. "I felt like a child," she said. "No one asked me if I needed anything. They just followed the procedure, and I had to accept it." And that was not the worst part. The loss of dignity comes not only from being monitored, but also from having to depend on others for the most basic things. There was a man named Robert, 82, who was a former soldier. All his life he had prided himself on his independence, but in a nursing home he had to rely on help with even the most personal things. Dressing, going to the bathroom, bathing. He was no longer himself. "I don't know what's more heartbreaking," he said, "not being able to do the things I used to do, or having to endure the shame of having someone else do it for me." The truth is, not everyone is ready to face this. We think we'll get used to it, that it's just part of aging, but ask yourself, can you accept losing your privacy, losing control over your body and your life? According to a survey by the National Institute on Aging, more than 70% of nursing home residents feel they have lost control over their lives. It's not just a number. It's millions of people who once had their own lives, their own routines, their own independence, but now have to live on someone else's schedule. A nursing home is not a home. It's an environment designed to manage people as easily as possible, and in the process, privacy, self-respect, and dignity are eroded. If you or a loved one is considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you willing to trade your privacy for convenience? Can you accept having to follow someone else's schedule for the most personal things? Is there another way to receive care without losing control over your life? Because once you lose your dignity, it's not easy to get it back. When people think about nursing homes, they believe it's a temporary decision. They tell themselves, I'll give it a try. If I don't like it, I can leave. But the truth is, once you walk through that door, it's not as easy as it sounds to go back to your old life. Many people believe they have a choice, that if they don't like it, they can pack up and go home. But then they realize that the outside world has changed. The house they lived in is no longer the same. Their health has declined after months of inactivity, and most importantly, the confidence and independence they once had has disappeared. Take the story of Charles, 83, a man who used to be strong and independent. When his daughter suggested he move into a nursing home, he thought he would try it for just a few months. If I didn't like it, I would go back home, he said. But 6 months later, when he wanted to leave, he found that his house had been sold to cover the costs. His belongings were scattered, and most importantly, he was no longer strong enough to live on his own. At first, I could walk around, do everything, he said. But here, I didn't need to do anything. I sat more, walked less, and one day I realized I couldn't walk as far as I used to. I had lost myself without even realizing it. This is a cruel reality that few people talk about. Once you're in a nursing home, leaving isn't just a personal decision. It's also affected by your finances, your health, and your family circumstances. 1. Financial. In the U.S., the average cost of a nursing home is around $8,000 per month. Many people have to sell their homes and use up their savings to pay for their years here. Once that money is depleted, it is very difficult to start over. 2. Health. As mentioned in the previous section, living in an environment where everything is taken care of makes the body deteriorate faster. When you no longer have the strength to take care of yourself, leaving the nursing home is no longer an option. It becomes impossible. 3. Family. Initially, the family promises to always support you, that if you want to return, they will help. But in reality, as their lives continue, taking you back becomes a burden that they are not ready to face. One day, you realize that you have no other choice. I met an 87-year-old woman named Dorothy who entered a nursing home with the intention of staying there temporarily, but when she wanted to leave, she realized that her family had gotten used to life without her. I became more a part of the nursing home than a part of my family, she said through tears. I had nowhere to go. Before you decide to enter a nursing home, ask yourself, are you sure this is the best choice or just the easiest choice? Do you have a backup plan if you want to leave one day? Do you have the assurance that you will still have a place to return to if the nursing home is not what you expected? Because once you enter, leaving is never as easy as you think. If you have followed this far, you are probably wondering, so, are all nursing homes bad? Are people really happy living in them? The truth is, nursing homes aren't a bad option for everyone. For those who need special medical care, who can't care for themselves, or who don't have family to support them, a nursing home can be a safe and necessary place to be. But the problem is that many people end up in them when they don't really need to, because they think it's the only way. They thought a nursing home would help them live better, but then they realized they lost their freedom. They lost control over the little things in life. They lost their connection with their families. Visits became less frequent, and the outside world went on without them. They lost their purpose. When there was nothing left to do, people gradually became invisible. They lost their health faster. A sedentary body deteriorated quickly. They lost their privacy and dignity. When they depended on others for the most basic things, their sense of self-worth gradually disappeared. And most importantly, they realized that leaving was not as easy as they thought. Once in, the road back to their previous life became extremely difficult. So, does that mean you should never consider a nursing home? Not necessarily. But you need to ask yourself some important questions before making the decision. Do I really need a nursing home, or can I still live independently with some support? Are there other options? For example, home care, living with family, or finding a senior living community that still allows for independence? If I go into a nursing home, what plans do I have to maintain my health, connection, and dignity? And most importantly, if I want to leave, can I do it without losing everything? Nursing homes are not a life sentence, but for many people, they are a point of no return. If you are considering this option, think carefully. Don't let someone else dictate your life just because it's the easiest option. I know this isn't an easy topic to talk about, but it's a necessary conversation. And now, I want to hear your thoughts. If you have a loved one who is considering a nursing home, do you think this is the best option for them? If you are facing this decision yourself, do you feel like you understand everything that lies ahead? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of your comments, and your sharing may help someone else make a better decision for themselves or their loved ones. And if you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on other important content. Your support helps me continue to create meaningful videos that help more people make informed decisions. Thank you for watching. Live your life. Don't let anyone else decide for you. See you in the next video.